Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're digging into some pretty profound ancient wisdom from the Yogacara Bhumi Shastra to ask a really fundamental question. Is the world you see really the world as it is?
I mean, think about it for a second. You've been there, right? You and a friend see the exact same thing happen, but later on, you realize you both have totally different takes on it. And this isn't just about having different opinions. It goes way deeper into how our minds actually construct reality. And that process, well, it can lead to a ton of stress and misunderstanding. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the 5 basic ingredients that make up any single moment. Then, we'll check out the 3 lenses our minds use to see everything. After that, we'll put it all to the test with a super modern example. And finally, we'll see why this ancient insight is so incredibly useful today. Okay, let's jump in.
All right, part 1. So these ancient philosophers were absolute masters at this. They could take one single, fleeting moment of your awareness and break it down into 5 core pieces. You can think of these as the raw ingredients our mind works with before we even consciously know what's going on. First up, we've got appearance. This is just the raw data hitting your senses. It's the flash of green light, the specific pattern of shapes on your screen, the vibration of a noise in the air. It's the pure what that appears before your mind slaps a label on it. And then, almost instantly, our mind gives it a name. It attaches a concept to that raw data. That flash of green light becomes go. Those shapes become my friend's face. It's how we start sorting through the absolute chaos of sensory information flooding us every second. Next comes thought, or what the text calls discrimination. And this is where the action really is. We go way beyond just naming things. We start weaving stories. Finally, a green light, I'm going to be on time. Why does my friend look so happy in that picture? This is our own internal storyteller, just going to town. Okay, but beyond all that mental chatter, there's something called suchness. This is the thing as it truly is, completely separate from our labels, our judgments, and our stories about it. You could say it's reality with a capital R. And that leads us to the final piece, correct wisdom. This is the goal of the whole shebang. It's that moment of pure clarity, that insight that just slices right through the fog of our own stories and lets us see reality, that suchness, directly, as it is. So those are the 5 building blocks of any experience. But the text goes even further. It explains how our mind actually puts all this together. It says we view everything through 3 distinct lenses, which it calls natures. Let's take a look. Okay, so we've got the imagined, the dependent, and the perfected. Now, what's absolutely crucial to get here is that these aren't 3 separate realities floating around out there. Nope. They are 3 different ways of seeing the exact same thing, describing a journey from our everyday confusion to real clarity. I know, those terms can feel a little heady, a bit abstract. So let's bring this right down to earth with something we all know very, very well, a photo on social media. So you know the drill. You're scrolling through your feed and bam, there it is. A picture of a friend on a gorgeous beach looking unbelievably happy. In less than a second, your mind starts processing this thing through those 3 lenses we just talked about. First, let's look at the dependent nature. What is the photo really? It's a collection of colored pixels on your screen. That's it. It only exists because a camera took it, a server is hosting it, an app is displaying it, your phone has power. Its existence depends on 1,000 other things. By itself, it has no meaning. It's just data. And then there's the imagined nature. And let's be real, this is where most of us live, most of the time. It's the instant flood of stories and judgments we project onto those pixels. Wow, their life is amazing. Are they trying to make me jealous? My life stinks. All that stuff, the envy, the happiness, the annoyance, it's not in the photo. It's generated entirely by our own minds. We're adding a whole story to it. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. We mostly operate in that imagined world, right? We're so tangled up in our own judgments and stories that we mistake them for the real thing. The whole point is to shift our view to the perfected world, where we see the story as just a story and not the truth. And that brings us to the perfected nature. This is that moment of true insight. It's the wisdom to see the photo for what it is, just a bunch of pixels, and to see our big emotional reaction for what it is, just a story our mind cooked up. And here's the kicker. In that simple act of separating the two, we find freedom. We're no longer being pushed around by our own projections.
The text uses such a powerful metaphor to describe this shift, this move from the imagined to the perfected. It says it's like waking up from a really, really vivid dream. Just think about that for a second. The suffering, the fear, that struggle against the water, it all feels 100% real while you're in the dream. But the moment you wake up, you realize there was no flood. It was never actually there. Well, our mental stories, our anxiety about that social media photo, that's the flood. And wisdom, that's waking up. So, what is the big takeaway here? This isn't just some dusty, ancient philosophy. It is an unbelievably practical toolkit for navigating our complicated modern world. By learning to spot the difference between what's actually happening, the dependent nature, and the story we're telling ourselves about it, the imagined nature, we can just move through life with so much less friction and a lot more peace. It's really about taking back control from our automatic, knee-jerk emotional reactions. So I'll leave you with this final thought. This ancient text gives us a profound and really practical question to ask ourselves in our day-to-day lives. Pondering this, even for a second, can be the very first step toward telling the difference between illusion and insight, and waking up from the dream.